your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100 plus globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100 plus global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500 plus multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100 plus authorized training partners and 50 plus universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain live interactive webinars, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of our global pilot quality. You're aiming higher. Leadership. Visit our offerings. GSDC. Share the best practices and learn from the best practices.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the AI implementation series. My name is Pratibha and I'll be your moderator for today. So if you have any question or if you want to connect with our speaker, if you want to know anything regarding the topic or GSTC initiative, please don't hesitate to use the chat box. And let's make this interactive. So if you have any resonated thoughts with you and what are your key takeaways from the session, please feel free to use the chat box with your emojis and reactions to connect with us and to connect with our speaker. That way we know you're actively listening and absorbing this insight. Just allow me a minute to share my screen. Meanwhile, please let us know from where you guys are watching and what you think about the sessions we are lining up for you and how you're daily applying the challenges in your daily life. We would love to hear that. So on behalf of the Global Skill Development Council, I'm truly delighted to welcome you all into the GSDC Studio AI Implementation Series AI 100 Days Tool Challenge 2025. So this is a hands-on webinar series designed for especially managers and professionals like you to explore the opportunity from collaboration to data-driven to decision-making. And you can apply what you learn here in your daily professional lives. And one of the things which make this webinar so interesting is the amazing panel of speakers we have lined up for you. Some of them have already delivered a very incredible and insightful sessions, and others are all set to bring in more powerful ideas. And here's a little spoiler. So we are continuously adding more speakers into this panel to make your learning journey more dynamic and fun. So for those who are joining with us for the very first time, let me give you a quick introduction who we are. Global Skill Development Council is a globally recognized certification body accredited by ABICB. We have a 250,000 professionals certified with us We have 100 plus certification portfolio covering in our program. We have 500 plus subject matter expert who contribute to our program. We have 100 plus training provider who help us into development of our training program. We are associated with 1,000 plus multinational companies and 50 plus university worldwide. We are also very proud to be associated our media partner WordPress Hub to help us amplify our initiative and reach it to the wider global audience. Now, I wanted to make an excellent announcement that we have just launched a unique platform called GSDC's AI Studio Lifelong Learning Initiative. In this GSTC AI Studio, you will be getting 100 plus lively monthly session with global expert, which include 4 daily session, 45 minutes live expert lead session from hands-on learning, session from global experts, learn directly from our AI leaders around the world, real-time practice, apply concept immediately and get your question answered, certification ready, training aligned with our industry standard for job ready skills. Now, how can you get the benefit of this GSTC AI Studio? Well, let me tell you. So these are the 3 ways from which you can get the access of a benefit of this GSDC Studio. So we have a free 30-day access. In that you will be getting the 80 plus lively sessions, access to full GSDC Studio. Second, we have GSDC lifelong membership, which will be from $109, and you will be upgrading to Pro and you will be getting the lifetime access, 80 plus live session per month, access to full GSDC Studio, free GSDC membership, access to physical events, LinkedIn profile improver. And last but not the least, we have GSDC certification lifetime membership. So participant, this is for a very limited time of offer. So make sure you're grabbing this offer, and the offer is starting from $100. So in this, you will getting the GSTC certification, all benefits of lifetime membership, personalized coaching, capstone projects plus AI tool, GSTC Copilot, and competency assessment tools. Now, as I told you that currently we have 100 plus certification in our portfolio in covering our program. So, which include learning and development, HR, genetic AI, agentic AI, emerging technologies, ISO lead auditor and implementer, project management and PMO, agile DevOps and SRE, cybersecurity, digital transformation, and many more. So once you get certified with the GSDC, you just don't walk away with the certification. You also become a community member of our membership benefits. So which include the lifelong membership, certification upgrade, workshop boot camps, learning club access, also the full benefit of GSDC AI Studio and many more. Now, for those who are joining with us very first time, well, let me tell you what is the AI tool challenge. This challenge is all about making AI real, practical, and immediately useful for managers and professionals like you. Across this 100 days, we are diving into tools that help with everything from automation and collaboration to data-driven decision making. So far, we have already completed so many challenges, and today we are moving ahead with yet another insightful session. So I hope you are all ready for that. Which brings me to the highlight of our today's speaker, Jonathan Wright. Jonathan Wright has been pioneer to the fusion of automation and AI for over 3 decades. At Quayside Eggplant as a Chief AI Officer, he leads Global Research and Development AI Labs Division, developing agentic AI platform that redefining quality engineering. Beyond Eggplant, he shapes AI policy and ethics through the EU AI Alliance, BCS, and president of Vivid Worldwide, the largest independent software community of over 80,000 professionals across 120 countries. Back in 2017 was a TED speaker on AI with his talk on engineering and frequent keynoter at Garnet Forrester and global AI forums. Jonathan continues to drive the evaluation of trustworthy AI quality engineering in software, and he will be leading the session today on designing multi-agent system that collaborate to solve real problems by exploring how you can get the benefit of this tool Autogen in his demonstration. So before handing over the virtual mic, let me just give you a quick reminder. If you have any question from Jonathan regarding the session or the topic, or if you have if you want to know anything else, or if you want to know more about the GSTC, please feel free to use the chat box. That way, we know you are with us and you are actively listening. Now it's time to hand over the virtual mic to the Jonathan. Jonathan, once again, thank you so much for coming on our forum, and thank you. Welcome to welcome back to you. We are so honored to have you as our speaker. The stage is all yours.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm going to start the 30-minute timer as we're 9 minutes in. So I want to make sure you guys get everything today. I'm just going to share my screen with you. Apologize if my pings go off as we've just got an email around our Forrester results. So I'm sure there'll be some noise. But yes, so let me kind of introduce myself very briefly. I did put my LinkedIn details in the chat if you did want to connect. There's also my QR code in the top right-hand corner there if you want to add myself on there. I will be taking questions. So Alberto, who's on the chat, I can answer anything as we go along. Equally, connect to me if you've got a problem or a challenge. I'm happy to always support you. They're my socials. Okay, so let's get going. So what I wanted to talk to you today about, I know the title was slightly different. It was around vibe engineering of agentic AI platforms. Of course, most of you are managers, so you were looking at this as maybe AI productivity. So, how do you improve, understanding where you can add benefit, where your teams can add benefit, and potentially where you're going to need humans involved, where can potentially AI help? And then more importantly, I guess, what kind of tools can you use? And so today, of course, I'm going to be kind of sharing some of those tools that would sit within this agentic landscape. And so, you probably can see on the screen behind this is just I guess a very simple, well, it's not very simple, but this is a multi-agent system architecture for agentic AI. And I'm guessing every single one of you's probably had experiences of things like ChatGPT. So if you think of prompting over here on the left-hand side, and there's some complex things around chain of thought and different types of methodologies here, but think of reasoning and how you would input it. So, like for a second, talk about things like a large language model. What you'll see here is the agentic systems have the ability to add in data, which again, I'm sure you've done if you've been on ChatGPT and passed it some kind of input. And then, if you're in ChatGPT, you're probably going to use some kind of model. In this case, you're going to use a foundation model, but sophisticated agentic systems have something called a model garden, and we're going to go through that today with agentic with AutoGen. But there's a lot more flow here. And of course, you probably all heard this excitement around agents. So, so what are agents, right? And you could go back maybe 10, 15, 20 years and think about agents and think about agent communication and what's really changed. Well, there has lots of things changed, and there's a lot of fundamental differences with agentic systems. I'm just going to call those out so you get an idea of what I'm talking about. So let's think of a standard old agent for a second. An agent would probably work on itself, be a task that it's got to do. Whereas now agents have agent collaboration and they can share memory, which means if agent 2 learns something, they can pass it to agent 3 or to agent 1. Equally, I've just said about the fact that they've got reasoning. So reasoning across a large language model, they're able to, in their own way, run and interact and share knowledge across the landscape. So this real change from historical agents is really around coordination, and really think about that as well as human in the loop as well, how humans and managers would also be involved, or how these agents would potentially come back to humans and ask for clarification. So today, the as part of this AI Tools Challenge, we're going to focus on one very well-known agent framework called AutoGen. Now, this was a Microsoft tool that was introduced probably 2, 3 years ago, and it started off, and as you can see, it's a multi-agent capability. It started off as a framework that could be quite easy to set up agent workflows, and you can still use it today. and it's incredibly powerful. Now, it's gone through lots of different phases. And when I say that, it started off its life as a very simple tool that allowed you to do workflows, and it's now become incredibly sophisticated. And now, as of about 3 or 4 weeks ago, Microsoft have released something called the Microsoft Agent Framework, which supersedes AutoGen. So that's why when I talk about AutoGen, I will also talk about the Microsoft Agent Framework. But of course, there is other ones. You probably heard of things like Amazon Bedrock or Nova, which is a capability. And I'm even going to show you some of the stuff that we do at Eggplant to give you an idea of how this happens in the real world. So one of my friends, Jason Arbon, probably didn't want me to take this photo, but we were in Seattle at the time at the AI conference earlier this year. He did a really good presentation around AutoGen V4, and I think we're on, in theory, AutoGen 0.4 now. But he talked about this, and he's run a number of AI companies, used to work at Google and at Microsoft. But there's a lot of complexity when it comes to these frameworks. And I don't think you really need to understand, how, looping works and, coordination works. That's not really what you need to do as a manager. You need to know, well, how do I potentially download this product and actually use it? And so what I'm going to show you in the next 5 minutes is a demo that I recorded yesterday at the weekend, doing that exact process. So I've gone to the Microsoft AutoGen repo. So you can see there it's GitHub Microsoft AutoGen. And once you've downloaded the repo, you can just literally install the different components that you're going to need, the prerequisites. Now, I use Anaconda because that just makes it a lot easier for me on my machine. You can see in the top right corner, it's Saturday, the 8th of November here. But what I'm doing in essence is I'm following that guide on the GitHub, and I'm downloading, and you can see there open telemetry. You can see it's downloading all of the dependencies, Hugging Face, some of the core libraries that you would need to be able to actually run this. And then once it's gone through and it's done all the installations, the next step is me to add any other components that I need. So the first thing I want to do is I want the studio, which is the UI version, which is going to be a lot easier than me just using the code version. I'm just going to go straight in and install the server aspect, which will allow us to actually use the workflow and drag and drop it. But secondly, I've also going to type in that I need a couple of additional components that I know aren't bundled up straight away. So the first one is something called Playwright, which I'm sure everyone's very familiar with Playwright. It's a UI automation tool. But if I'm wanting to actually navigate a web page, or my agent wants to navigate a web page, then of course I'm going to need Playwright. You could use other UI frameworks, but this is just an example one that works quite well. Once I install that one, I'm actually going to the next component I'm going to install after that is the model context protocol, so the MCP capability. And so that allows me to chain off and call other tools as part of my agent. So I'm going to talk a little bit about AutoGen and MCP at the end. But at the moment, I'm just going to show you the core functionality of what AutoGen can do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch it. Again, if you go down the repo, you'll see there's a very simple command to start the actual application off. Once you've got that in, I've got to do the MCP install first. Again, this is recorded, so you can watch this. If you want to ping me on linkedin.com/in automation, I can send you this videos and also the PowerPoints if you really want, if that really helps. But once I've installed the MCP, because I'm going to use the MCP later on, then I can just run the actual server itself. And so even though these feels like a number of prerequisite steps, this kind of what's required. And then what you'll see is I'm going to run the studio, but I'm going to run it on a specific port. So I'm running it on port 8080. And afterwards, I'm going to launch a browser, which will be localhost port 8080. Now, what's worth remembering is the agent framework as such can run without using anything. of course, if you don't specify a large language model, I'm going to show you how to specify a large language model later on as well, because you can run an offline large language model, so you don't have to rely on OpenAI. But by default, you could just use OpenAI, or you could use Gemini or something else. So I'm in AutoGen now, and I've got kind of four components. I've got the team builder, which I'm going to show you in a minute, the playground, which is where you execute things, and then there's also the deployment and gallery components. Now, what I'm going to show you first is really what the different capabilities are within this out of the box installation. So remember, this is a brand new installation. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask it a question, which is, what is the capital of France? And as you can see, it's come back with an error. And the reason the error comes back is you can see that it's actually asking for an API key, but because by default, it doesn't have an API key to ChatGPT or any other tool. So I'm having to actually go into the settings and select the model, which in this case is ChatGPT, and then I need to paste my API key. And so where it says your API key, you're going to have to paste your API key. Now, obviously, I'm not going to put my API key on the screen because otherwise everyone will just use that and I'll get a good bill. But obviously, I've added my API key in. And then what I need to do is I need to make sure that actually when I go in, my assistant agent has the API key put into it. And once I have it put in there, then I'll actually be able to save it and run it. So if I now ask it the capital of France, it will use just the large language model at this point in time to work out that the capital of France is Paris. I could also ask it, who is Jonathan Wright in automation? And it would come back and in essence would use its large language model, which is in essence something which is indexed off the internet, right? But that isn't really what I would class as an agent. If you're going to use an agent, you really want to be able to use the agent to interact with web pages or desktops or something else. So you can see here, there's lots of tools. So things like calculator or local applications, you could specify a tool, you could specify your own tool, which is running on your desktop or something you're trying to automate at work in there. But at this particular demo, I'm going to show you the web agent. And again, I'm going to test to make sure my ChatGPT account's working fine with it. But this time I'm going to go into the team builder and I'm actually going to create a new team from the gallery and I'm going to create a web agent. Now, this web agent will, in essence, be able to search the entire internet. And if I ask it something like the capital of France, the difference now is it's going to launch a browser and then search for, the result, and then it's going to terminate. So you can see on the right-hand side, this bottom right-hand side, that actually it's doing a flow. And the flow there is covering three components. It's doing a web search, an assistant, which takes the results of what the web search has done, and then it's got a user proxy. So it's in essence running three separate agents instead of just one agent that just called ChatGPT, right? So I'm now going to run in the playground and I'm actually going to send it a real message, right? I'm going to take the URL, the only URL I could find yesterday for the GSDC thing, and I'm going to ask it a question, which is, navigate to the GSDC website and search for something, right? And so it's good, and then look for Jonathan Wright, which I'm not on that particular page. So in theory, it should be able to launch the first agent, which is a human user. It should come back and show me it's got a web page which it's opened, and it's got a web page there. And then it literally says to me, well, I can't actually find any mention on that web page of Jonathan Wright. And if I look on the page, you can see there is no listing of me on this particular, session. Now, I could ask it something else like, did you see a discount code on the page? And again, this is the human in the loop aspect. And the agent then would go, well, I'm looking on the page. I now see Project 200 gives me, a limited offer using code November 25 to get 25% off. And in essence, I'm involved or I'm involved in the workflow on the right-hand side where it's looping around. And, in theory, I've just built an agent. I could deploy that agent using the deploy area, and it could just keep on pinging me to ask me things on that flow. Now, that's not super sophisticated. Equally, the default one, which just uses a large language model, is also not that sophisticated, even though both of these give you two options. They give you one with a GUI and one without a GUI, and they have two separate purposes, right? One allows you to search a web page. The other one allows you to, just ask a large language model. Now, what you'll have seen there is what we class as a computer use agent. And so this is something that can actually run in a particular instance. Now, that instance was my local machine, and it was using a headless browser proxy, and it was using Playwright. But actually, I could use something else. So an obvious one is something like browser use, which again is completely free. So, I'm launching, you see AutoGen in the back, but I'm actually now using Pinocchio to open the interface for browser use. And again, what I'm going to do in there is I'm going to just paste in my my API key so that I can use something like OpenAI. And then I can literally start asking it the same thing. So this is, again, another agent, which I'm going to do the exact same command, which is, navigate to the GSDC website and then, look for Jonathan, right? So exact same command, another agent. And again, I'm running this on my local machine. You can see here it needs a open API key. Again, you could use that locally, but I've, in essence, pasted my API key into that. And as you can see, and then I'm just literally going to run it again using the run agent capability. There is a marketplace, so you can actually, pull things down to do other types of flow, just like AutoGen. So this is, again, it's a nice, easy option. So I'm going to search for this, look for Jonathan Wright, and then it's going to go off. So it's going to launch a browser. This time it's not headless. I'm actually seeing this run on my actual machine. You can see it launch it up. You can see the discount code again. And you can also see these icons where it's using the computer vision to highlight these numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Now, this is using computer vision. And in this particular case, I'm going to show you in a second, the computer vision that it's using is Omniparser, which is a capability to go through and use the GPU on my local machine to actually identify everything on the screen, whether it's a web page, whether it's a desktop, whether it's a calculator. You'll also notice what browser use has done is it's actually sent the command. It's not just gone to the URL, but it's actually used the action scroll down, and it's kept on scrolling down to see if it can find me, not just on that first page, but on every page. And every single one said, well, I can't find it at all. I can't find Jonathan on any of these pages. But I can also ask the agent, I can say, can you see a discount code? Do the exact same command. And of course, this is, just an agent interaction. And this is going to do the same thing. It's going to go back to the web page which it's got, and it's going to say, can I see a discount code? Yes, I can. Comes back with a response. Yes, I can see November 25, 25% of all certifications, right? Again, very simple. But I can ask it to do more complicated things. Like I could ask it to press the close button on the certification window, and it would go, even though it doesn't know that that cross in the middle is the close, it will press the X on the screen because it's using reasoning engines to take all of the information it's found on the computer vision and then send that as context when it's actually, sending that message. Now, the next thing, which is really interesting, is I could then say to it, I'm not going to talk to it, even though it's giving me the option. I could say to it, go and talk to the other agent. So I could get the agent to talk to another agent. So I could say, I can see the agent on the screen, or in this case, I can see the leaderboard on the screen. I could say to it, just enter Jonathan's name, right? And so it's not using a direct identifier. It's literally not, I'm not just asking it to go on the search bar. It's working out by using, in this particular case, YOLO. it's using YOLO to go, I can understand where the leaderboard is, and I can actually type Jonathan's name in there, which is going to bring up a filter. And so what you're seeing is that I'm no longer having to use identifiers. I'm no longer having to do anything. I can literally ask it to solve a problem. So my next one would be, okay, how do I talk to the agent, right? How do I get to press that button and talk to a person? And again, it will figure it out. And this is the reasoning engine that says if there's 6 steps that it needs to do, it will try its best to solve these these steps. So in my case, I've said to it, go and click on the support chat icon and then ask a question to the agent, right? What time is it? Or something simple like that. So I click in the submit. It's now going to go on. It's going to click on that bottom right-hand corner, which it knows is a help assistant because it understands that icon is the assistant. And then it's going to say to you, it's going to look at it and go, all right, I need to work out what's the next step. It sees on 19 is where the chat button is, even though it's an icon. It's not even something, that states that it's a chat. And then secondly, it knows it's asking for a name and an email. But again, it will auto-populate that because its goal is to start a conversation and ask the weather. So once it fails and I go back, it's going to say, okay, it's come back, but I've found an invalid email address. So again, as a human, I can then say to it, okay, put a valid email address in, and it will then, again, look through there and it'll say, okay, I'm going to put in something like Jonathan's email address and see if I can get through it another way. It tried it twice. It couldn't find a way to solve. And if you see this XML structure, this is, in essence, a POM, a particular type of format. And I'm prompting it to say, okay, now use Jonathan_Wright@live.com as the email address. Again, it's thinking, it's trying to work its way out, and it's going, okay, I'll just put in Jonathan's email in there. And in theory, I should then be able to start chat, which it has, and now it's got a chat conversation. Now, obviously, I stopped this because I could ask it anything, right? I could ask it, how, what the weather is, order subscription, have a conversation with the AI, and the AI go backwards and forwards. I could even say, oh, let's drop all tables and do a SQL injection, right? So I could do lots of different opportunities here, but it would work out what to do next. So what you saw there was what we call a large vision model, the ability for something like YOLO and Paddle OCR to actually look at the screen and identify all these objects. And so I'm going to do this with the page that actually got shared today, which is why I'm sure not many people registered because I couldn't actually get it open and loading. But if I went to the AI implementation series, I could drag and drop that screenshot, which I just took of everything. And what you'll see on the right-hand side is when I submit this to Omniparser, that my NPU, my local machine GPU, which has got 12 gig of memory in this bottom corner, will spike up and it will start processing using computer vision. And then what the computer vision's done, exactly like it did on the what you saw before, is it's identifying every single object on the screen. And so for each one of those, 29, 121, it's got a tag, and it's either using, as you can see, YOLO to identify the computer vision element, or it's using some kind of OCR capability to extract the value, what's associated with that. So in here you can see, YOLO saying, oh, I can see a person holding an object. But later on, as we go further up, when we look at the text objects using OCR, it's also going and saying, oh, I can see blogs and articles. I can see a GPU that I've found on the screen. And it directly correlates icon 42, which is in the bottom right-hand corner. You can see value 42 is here. So it's looking and using the vision engine combined with the computer vision to be able to understand icons and images to allow this system, this agent, to have eyes. Now, I know I've already got a few minutes left and I've not got any questions yet, but we've all heard very much about MCP. There's a capability where we can extend and use model context protocol to allow it to talk to these models. Now, I said OpenAI. but you could also run something locally. So what I've got here is you can see it's got Minstrel 7B. So if I didn't want to use, ChatGPT, I could just use something like Olama, which you can see loaded up in the on the taskbar, or LM Studio, and I could load onto my GPU the entire model. So I've loaded the Minstrel large language model onto my local machine, and that you should see it, get spiking up on the amount of memory that it's using. It's gonna, I've got 24 gig universal memory on this. But once I've done that, I can start the server. And so instead of using the ChatGPT API, I can now use a large language model, which is local. And if I test it again, it's now running locally. So this allows me the flexibility. In this case, it's just asking it a question, what's two plus plus, two plus two. But you don't have to use a ChatGPT. You could run this all locally inside of your data center behind a firewall and, to see all the benefits. So I know we've only been done talking for 25 minutes, but this idea of agentic and using agents is all about leveraging agents at different parts of the life cycle, whether or not it's helping you with requirements. So it could be searching, could be a researcher tool which goes onto Google and starts searching for documents and saves all the documents down to a file and then, opens those documents and feeds them in and extracts requirements to, something on the right hand side where it's, reading, logs or insight to something that's happening on your system. So the whole point of what we've just shown you is this combination of combining agents with humans in the loop. And then the goal behind that, and just to give you an idea of how complex this landscape is, you can bring the human in on the left hand side and they can talk using MCP so that once you've connected AutoGen to MCP, you could just talk into something like Claude desktop or something like that and say to it, you know, you know, launch a browser and, register for this upcoming webinar using this URL, hit enter, and it would launch that same agent that we built earlier and actually navigate, filling in the form, registering for this webinar and everything else. But the elements that I've shown you include things like computer use agents that can actually drive the screens, and that's what's on the right-hand side, our system, but also most of the stuff that you see in the future. So you saw earlier on, we had Minstrel 7B. If I ask Minstrel 7B who Jonathan Wright is, it says, don't know whatsoever. But you could also use different models that are also running locally. So these are all running on a 5060 card, which has got a bit more memory than the other one. You can run these models offline and connect those into your AutoGen system to make it smarter and actually have, even more memory. And so with that, I'm going to kind of, finish for some Q&A and hand back over, but really leave with the same, message as always, which is, it's not AI that will replace you. It's another person, another manager, another person in the business who are using these tools to support these kind of agentic frameworks that you can literally say, okay, well, I can, with what you've just seen in the last 28 minutes and 30 seconds, you can say, I can set up an agent today completely offline, reading our documentation, really smart with RAG, and I can ask the agent to go off and do some research. I can go off and, open my Confluence pages and scrape data off it. I can ask it to solve problems, and I can then turn that into an agent in a very short period of time. Anyway, with that, I'm going to hand back over to the organizers. Of course, if you've got any questions, feel free to add me onto LinkedIn and ask the questions there, or, of course, add something into the chat now. So with that said, I'll hand back to the organizer.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for those amazing and insightful sessions. I'm sure our participants have learned a lot. So now the floor is officially open for question and answer. We are running out of time, so we'll try to cover as many as question we can. So if you want to ask anything from Jonathan, please feel free to use the chat box. Meanwhile, Jonathan, would you like to give any final comments to our participant?
Sure, I can, I'll leave a demo running in the background whilst I'm just kind of talking through. But you can see here this is a swarm of agents that we use within our agentic frameworks. Um, and part of these systems, I think the best way to think of a swarm is a number of different agents that are going and trying to solve a common problem. So in this particular case, you can see on the right hand side, which is running Claude, it's trying to do a whole stack of things. The first bit is to do a comprehensive search on reviews. And then the second, activity the agent's trying to do is to explore our competitors. The third one is to review submissions. So what you're seeing is the agents are working together and it's got different agents that will solve different things. Now, of course, you would need to build each one of those different agent workflows using something like AutoGen to allow it to do all these quite sophisticated areas. So try and think of it as not just automation, which is quite linear, but actually it's trying to solve problems. And as it tries to solve problems, it will try and do different activities. But the agents itself are making those decisions. And it may come back like it did with us and said, I can't get past it because I haven't got a unique username or an email address, but the human's still involved with these activities. So there's only so much it can do until it hits a problem where there's an issue where it then needs the human to be involved to solve the problem. So anyway, with that, thanks, Brian, for the great presentation kind of things. I hope that you've learned something today. And of course, like I said, reach out to me if you've got any questions and, always happy to share knowledge and really where the technology is going with this future agentic landscapes.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for this amazing insight. So, if you guys want to, okay, we have a question
Yeah,
from
Alberto,
Alberto.
I think. Yep, I can
Yeah.
I can look at that one there. So, you know, um, he mentions about it some seen some interesting functions on the presentations. Reminds me of Make in the way of it opens and interacts with different applications. But I've seen better capabilities in the agents that you use. Do you recommend any other applications? There's lots of different things. I said kind of AutoGen has been superseded by Microsoft Agent Framework. Of course, that in essence starts into two areas. That goes into the AI Foundry, which is the stuff that Microsoft have launched recently, which is again completely offline models. Really builds on Copilot Plus, which is going to be a marketplace soon. So of course that's the Microsoft ecosystem. There's the Amazon's Bedrock and Nova Prime landscape, which is incredibly powerful as well. Google Gemini has an equivalent area. Claude Computer Use is an incredibly powerful desktop ability to do what you've seen here today. And then, of course, what we've been doing, Keysight Generator is kind of what we're building, what I was showing you at the end, where it can do a lot more complex things. But, starting with something like AutoGen is free. Browser use and using Pinocchio. If you just use Pinocchio, you can run everything offline anyway. If you're dabbling with machine learning and AI. And then you can build on things like LangGraph and a few other tools to really, make that more sophisticated. So I would say start with the basic stuff, get yourself up to date with agents and how they interact with desktops or browsers, and then, work your way up to some of the more advanced functionalities. So hopefully that helps, Alberto. Wonderful. I think Alberto says it's great. But yeah, I love Gemini too as well. And there is some Gemini Nano, which is the now offline model, which is really powerful as well, what happened quite recently. So thank you. And, I look forward to hopefully helping again in the future.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for those detailed and thoughtful answers. So, if you guys have any other question or if you want to connect with Jonathan, he has already shared his LinkedIn ID in the chat box. I'm sharing it once again for your convenience so that you guys can connect with him. And if you need any assistant or you want to be part of his tech group, he'll be happy to adding you guys over there, right, Jonathan? So, with that, it's time to move on to the next process. Just allow me a minute to share my screen. It's time to present the today's challenge for which you guys have been waiting for. This is our today's challenge, and your mission is to use Microsoft AutoGen to design a multi-agent AI system where multiple agent that works together, planning, reasoning, computing tasks collaboratively to solve a real-world problems in your domain. I'm also sharing the AI tool challenge task as well in the chat box for your convenience. Please make sure you guys, while you're completing this challenge and when you're posting it on the LinkedIn, you guys are tagging the GSDC. That way we are able to follow your journey and we are able to share for you on every step of the way. Also, after the 100 days challenge, the winners will get a free gift certification voucher of worth $400. So make sure you're grabbing this opportunity. And we are so happy to see these many of participants are actively taking part in our challenges and posting it on LinkedIn and tagging the GSDC. And by tagging the GSDC, they are giving us the chance to follow their journey on every step of the way. And if they need any assistance, we are there to help them or cheer for them every step of the way. So make sure you guys are tagging us as well. And before wrap up, I just wanted to make a few announcements. So I wanted to guys introduce from our utility tool. So utility tool will help you out in your job hunting journey to, it will make you stand out in front of the HRs and recruiter. So what you have to do, you have to go through, you have to log in into utility tool from our LinkedIn ID and password. And after once you log in with the LinkedIn ID and password, it will give you a complete recommendation how to transfer your profile according to the job you are looking for to stand out in front of the HRs and recruiter. So make sure you're grabbing this offer and you're using this tool to enhance your LinkedIn profile. Now we have a complimentary coupon code for our participant who is joining us with the webinar, and the code applies 100% discount. So you will get, of course, free discount after using this coupon code to the utility tool. So I am sharing the link of coupon code as well in the chat box for your convenience. Make sure you're grabbing this offer as well. And as we are continuously scheduling the another AI implementation series as well. So tomorrow we have one more session with Betty Hart at 10:30 a.m. CST, 12:30 a.m. SGT, 10 p.m. IST, 11:30 a.m. EST. So I hope you guys will be there too. Apart from that, we are conducting some other webinars as well, like learning and development cases studies across industries. These is from 3rd November to 21st November at 9:30 a.m. CST, 10:30 p.m. SGT, and 8 p.m. IST. We are also conducting the webinar on applying ISO 42001 and ISO 27001 across industries. This is also from 3rd November to 21st November at 9:30 a.m. CST, 10:30 p.m. SGT, and 8 p.m. IST. And the other webinar we have that is solving real project management challenges with GenAI. And this is scheduled at 7:30 a.m. CST, 8:30 p.m. SGT, and 6 p.m. IST. And these are the website where you guys can connect with us on our LinkedIn, on our website, on our WhatsApp community. You can also share your session takeaways and learning outcomes on the Trustpilot. I'm sharing all of the connecting link and the Trustpilot link in the chat box for your convenience, so that if you guys need any assistance, you can connect with us directly. Or whatever you are learning, whatever the outcome you're taking for your professional journey from our webinar, we would love to hear that. So please make sure you're sharing your feedback and session takeaways and learning outcomes on the Trustpilot. And with that, it's time to come to an end of this event. But before that, it's time to celebrate our referral champions. So we have a top 3 performers, Dauda, Sarosau, and Vipin. Congratulations to all 3 of you, and thank you so much to all three of you to helping us amplify our initiative and reach it to the wider global audience. Keep the momentum going. You can also be part of our referral championship. So what you have to do, you have to go to our GSDC website, and if any of your peers, colleague, professional wants to join for this webinar, just share the registration link which is available on our website on a different webinar. And once you hit a 50 referral point, you will be able to get a free gift certification voucher from us. So make sure you're grabbing this offer as well. And now it's time to come to an event. Thank you so much once again, Jonathan, for this amazing and insightful session. We are very honored to have you as our speaker, and we'll be looking forward for your any other session if you'll be having with us. Thank you so much, our participant, to joining in our learning journey and absorbing the insight. And I hope to see you all tomorrow as well. Till then, keep learning, keep energizing. Have a good day, good night, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much.